Hey guys, I am so proud to be called a car salesman. Who else is proud to be called a car salesman? That's right. This is an amazing industry. For the last 2 decades, it has given me an opportunity, not for myself, but for my family, to really create something that I would have never had the opportunity to do. And it's that reason why I'm here today and I get to talk to you guys. I've had the opportunity to do many different things in the dealership. Oh, by the way, this is the hot dog version of me. My team thought it was quite funny to create a hot dog version of me. And if you guys didn't know, I am the Canadian that wears the orange tie. In case you all don't know. The funny thing is I'm actually not Canadian at all. I'm actually American, but I've lived in Canada for 12 years, so therefore everyone considers me a Canadian. I've had the opportunity to work on the sales side of the business, the service side of the business. I was a VP of operations for a large automotive group, and I even had the opportunity to do something silly and buy a Mitsubishi dealership. And this is my story. This is what my first dealership looked like. Well, that's my first team right there. This is very fitting. I don't know about you guys, but I have 3 kids, ages 10, 8, and 6. This is their favorite movie. Every Christmas we get to watch this, and it's just a reminder of the very first dealership I ever worked at. I can tell you my manager was nothing but abominable. Lots of trains with square wheels, dollies that couldn't cry, and elephants with pink polka dots. That was the first dealership. Now, the first dealership I worked at had an amazing culture, but it was a culture that may not have been fitting for everybody. Now, I always find it incredibly fascinating to find out how people get into the business. So I'm going to ask you all real quick, how many of you have been born into the automotive industry? All right, we got a few. There we go. We knew that was coming. How many of you have all either fall or stumbled your way into the automotive industry? You mean y'all didn't wake up one day and go, gosh, man, I would love to go sell some cars. Or maybe you're like me and you got conned into the business. Oh, there's one. There's one. I'll tell you real quick, I got conned into the business. I had a roommate of mine in university who came to me one day and goes, hey, Jason. Yes. You like cars, right? I said, yeah, I like cars. You like selling shit, don't you? Sure, I like selling shit. Well, you should come with me and you should come be a car salesman. A little did I know that he got a $500 bonus if I worked at the dealership for longer than 90 days. Every single person in the dorm got asked to be a car salesman. Ironically, at the end of the 90 days, I was still there and he was not. I should have got that 500. I started a small GM dealership in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Actually, if any of you know a gentleman named Duran Cage, okay, he actually started at the Chrysler dealership right across the street from me, and we didn't even know it. We only got an opportunity to figure this out on a podcast of mine when we were discussing our first dealership and the burrito van that we ordered lunch from every single day. It sounded way too familiar. Once I asked him the city and the location, we realized that we ate from the exact same burrito van. Now, the burrito I ordered was completely dependent on how good of a week I was having. Either was just beans and rice or steak and potatoes. This is the first car I ever sold. If you all don't know what this is the most adventurous, outdoor, off-roading, loving vehicle in the entire world. This is the 2001 Pontiac Aztek in yellow. The ass end of this would open up and a tent would actually pop out. Very first car I ever sold. Anybody else ever sold one of these things? That's awesome. You know, the entire thing was made of plastic. It could not rust. It was a great sell. I realized real quick when I got into the car business that this was a seasonality thing. There were times of the year I was going to be busy, and there was times of the years that I wasn't going to be busy. And, well, frankly, I didn't like that. So I decided to go out and start my own website. I hired some kid in my dorm, and I said I needed a website. And I can guarantee you it didn't look far off from this right here. This is lingscars.com. Has anybody ever been to lingscars.com? Lingscars.com gets almost 1 million unique visitors every single month. And that is what it looks like. My first domain was jasonsellscars.com. I had to manually upload 1 image of every single car I wanted to sell onto that website. But doing so allowed me the opportunity to pitch a new department that the dealership was creating. They called it Internet Operations and BDC. My manager comes to me one day and goes, "Hey, Jason, you know something about this internet, right?" "Yeah, Bill, I know something about this internet." "Well, we're putting together a new department, and we're looking for someone to promote into a management position to run that, and we'd rather hire within than hire without. So we need you to be ready by Monday with a presentation of how you'd create this department." "Not a problem, Bill. I'll get right on that." I'm going to date myself, but I went home that night, and I went to AskJeeves.com. And I asked Jeeves what was a BDC. I spent the next 36 hours typing away, creating what I thought was the most impressive PowerPoint I could ever put together. Come Monday, I presented, and they gave me the job right on the spot. And I was left here to figure out how I was going to create internet operations and a BDC department. Now, this was 2003 to 2006 when I ran this department, and for any of you that owned a General Motors store during that time frame or worked in one, it was truly the wild, wild west. There was no such thing as a PMA. You got to do whatever the hell you want. We were drop shipping Corvettes to Dubai, sending dualies to Alaska. As long as we could get the paper done, we could punch a number and we can get it shipped. We call this now digital retailing. 2008 recession hit, and it hit my dealer group pretty hard. Now, the dealer group I worked for was actually a land holding group. They owned shopping malls and condos and other places like that, and I think they saw the writing on the wall a little bit faster than everybody else did. And a lot of people don't realize, but there were checks being offered to dealerships in the beginning part of the recession to close their doors and leave, and that's exactly what my dealership did. Now, you could go through my neighborhood at that time, and you can go green grass, brown, green, brown, green, brown, green. You knew exactly which houses were in foreclosure. Luckily, my wife was Canadian. I said, "We got to get out of here." So I called a buddy of mine who worked in Canada, worked at a Ford dealership in Edmonton, and talking to him and said, "All right, hey, I can do this. This operations sounds similar to something I'm used to." Little did I know, it was the largest Ford dealership in Canada. And when I got to Canada, boy, was I surprised. I remember the very first dealership I visited was a small Ford dealership in Oakville, Ontario. I went in there and introduced myself, gave them a little insights about my background in operations, BDC, and marketing. They were like, "BDC, what?" I thought Ashton Kutcher was going to jump out of the closet and tell me I was being punked. But no, it got worse. Well, he goes, "You know something about this marketing thing?" I said, "Yeah, I know something about this marketing thing. I'd like to get your thoughts on what we're doing right now." I said, "Okay, that sounds cool." He reached into a desk and he pulled out a manila folder about yay thick. It had $38,000 worth of newspaper ads, and that was this gentleman's marketing strategy. Now, I thought that was an isolated event. I come to find out that was not an isolated event. So here I am in Canada, 2008, with a crystal ball. And I had the opportunity to go to dealership, dealer group, and actually train, develop, and consult on marketing efforts and operations efforts across Canada. I then became a general manager. Shortly after that, I became the VP of marketing for a large automotive group in Canada. And then I did something really silly in 2012, and I bought myself a Mitsubishi dealership. Anybody here own a Mitsubishi dealership, except for old Patron? Anybody? All right. Hey, look, if you've ever been in a Mitsubishi dealership in a small town, you know that it's a used car dealership with a flag outside. That's pretty much what it is. Pretty much. I had a great time working at this dealership. It allowed me to test ideas and theories that I never had an opportunity to do just from a management and operations perspective. Now as the owner, no one could argue with me. I could do whatever the hell I want. Well, Mitsubishi had other thoughts. I realized real quick, my little tiny store in Cambridge, Ontario, if I was going to actually produce any profitability from this store, I was going to have to close at 45%. There wasn't a marketing budget in the world that was going to generate enough traffic for me to close the amount of people I needed to cover my nut and make some money. So I had to figure out how I was going to close at 45%. Now, this wasn't a good idea. This wasn't a best practice. It was a mandate. It had to happen. And we got super hardcore into our process development. One of the points in our process that I felt was our weakest link was in the payment presentation. I got to be honest with you, from a consumer's perspective, it's pretty scary. I come in, I take a test drive, I'm pretty excited. And then you sit me down at a desk and you ask me to fill out a worksheet. God, I hate that name. I actually caught a salesperson the other day asking someone to fill out a worksheet. Then you disappear into a black hole that's called the sales manager's office. And then we pop out with something that resembles chicken scratch, a series of numbers that then we have to convince that customer that this is the best deal and they should buy it today. Well, that process wasn't working for me, so I had to figure out something else, and I had to figure it out quick. So I called it a product pod. Now, the cool thing is I actually see more of these popping up in new dealership builds all over the country, which is amazing. But in 2012, this was not popular. In fact, my manufacturer did not think this was very funny. When I literally took all the desks out of my showroom and I threw them out in the garbage. They couldn't figure out why the heck I would do that. It was so much expensive furniture. And in a sense, I replaced all that furniture with a table, a keyboard, a mouse, a 50-inch screen. That was it. No phone, no pictures. It was just clean and transparent. All right, through this process, my expectation was that we were going to build the payment in front of the customer, not in this black hole that we call the sales manager's office. And I figured that will get me closer. That will get that lift, and it did. We got up to about 37, just under 40%. Now, I had some seasoned salespeople that worked for me, and if you have some seasoned salespeople that work for you and you see how they type on a computer, it's usually something that resembles this. A few times I actually watched a customer grab the keyboard and the mouse from the salesperson out of frustration of how much time it was taking, and they actually started to fill out the information themselves. They would click on the vehicle, choose their trim, add their accessories, select their lease or finance terms, put in how much they wanted to put down, and generate their own payment. This was an aha moment for me, a very large aha moment. Within 90 days of us enforcing this process, we not only hit our 45, we actually exceeded it. We hit 47% closing ratio with the customers that were building their own payments and became the most profitable per transaction Mitsubishi dealership in Canada. It was cool. It was very exciting. Well, thank you, I appreciate that. So we processed our way to success. That's not far off from what we need to do now. Now, I sold my dealership a few years later. I had a third child, and if you guys are in the business and you have children, you know it can be incredibly difficult, and I had to make a choice. I chose to spend more time with my children, and I figured I'd come back into operations and ownership later in life, and I probably still will. I like power sports. But I thought I was out of the business. I was done. That took a whole whopping 3 weeks. And just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. That's exactly what happened. I got pulled back in. I had friends and other dealer principals contact me and say, hey, Jason, you know, what you did, we need help with that. Can you come back and can you help us? And hence, Strategy with Jason was born. All right, Strategy with Jason is a brand that focuses on automotive marketing and operations. I give away my best ideas to anybody out there that's willing to listen. I've done a little over 400 podcasts with some of the most successful people in the industry in North America and even abroad. If you guys have a moment, check it out, strategywithjason.com. You can find me on any of the social accounts, all of the podcast networks, and if you can't find me there, strategywithjason.com is the website. Now I want to talk a little bit about the last 24 months. Has anybody else used the word pivot more than 1,000 times in the last 2 years? Man, I hate this word. I really, really hate this word. But it is a word that we've had to use, and it is what it is. Our process has to pivot. Anybody else familiar with the cookie war? This is another fun thing happened in the last 24 months. As an industry, our marketing efforts rely on a heavy remarketing strategy, right? Well, Apple thought it'd be funny to throw a wrench in that and decide that they're only going to not only remove cookies, or if they do allow them, they allow them for up to 24 hours. So that also made the last 24 months interesting. Digital retailing has now become the norm or a mandate for most OEMs. How many of you right now are required by your OEM to have a digital retailing product? A handful of you. Well, trust me, the rest of you, it's coming. Every customer is an online shopper. A few years ago, I was in a meeting with a Chrysler dealership, and there was a good old boy in there, and he had to come up with this term that I swear I've never heard before. Those internet customers. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. There is no such thing as an internet customer. Every customer is an internet customer. And if it hasn't changed, it's apparent now, the last 24 months, that is the case. The meet and greet. I always get a giggle when I say the meet and greet. All right, first dealership I ever worked at, I had a sales manager. His name was Bert. All right, Bert was a dick. Okay? He was. Every single morning we show up, all of us bright-eyed and ready to sell, and we would have to verbatim do the meet and greet with Bert. If we did not hit that to the T, we were not allowed to sell cars that day, and we all got sent home. Jokingly, one day we all chose not to do it correctly. Bert had to close and open the dealership on his own. We all got a kick out of it. But now the meet and greet no longer happens at the dealership. The meet and greet now happens online. All right? My first impression of you as a business is that homepage. And is that homepage a welcoming page? Are you inviting me into your digital world? Or are you slapping me across the face with every single call to action you could possibly shove into a below the fold section? We've learned to do a whole lot with a lot less. How many dealerships right now are currently operating with, let's say, half staff? Hands? 75% of their staff? That seems to be the norm I see right now. We've learned to do more. Now the question is do we maintain that and embrace the profitability and the processes that we've created in doing more with less, or do we try to go back to the old ways? Death to the superstar culture. Right? Most dealerships before the last couple of years had a superstar culture. Top 3 salespeople in your dealership typically generated 50 to 60% of all the sales, correct? Well, that's gone. I am seeing more and more team cultures be created out of necessity in the last 24 months than I have seen in the previous 10 years, and that gets me super excited. So I hope this never comes back. Customers are now the driver, and we are the co-pilot. It's no longer acceptable that we have a sales process. I remember first 2 weeks I was on the job, I got taught the 12 stages to the sale. Maybe it was 14. And I remember being told that as I was doing my vehicle presentation that I needed to have the customer hold open the hood, even though there was a hinge, all right, so that I can show control. Customers do not want a sales process. The expectation now is a buying process. Every vertical out there has a buying process. I get to choose how I'm going to purchase from you. Right? I love buying from Best Buy. They give me 3 really great options. I can buy it online, go pick it up in the store. I can reserve it online, go in the store, touch it, play with it, smell it, taste it. I don't know if you taste it. Or I can just simply get it ordered directly to my house. Consumers require a buying process, not a sales process. If you don't currently have that as a model within your operations, you guys are losing out. Communication is now your strongest closing tool. Not the word tracks that I learned from Grant Cardone and a Holiday Inn next to the airport in 2015. That was a fun time. Communication is now the strongest closing tool. All right? How well you communicate to the customer, how fast you communicate to the customer will determine your closing ratio. Right now, I am buying a pickup. And I sent a message to the dealership, and I said, do not call me. I'm at a conference. Text message me. And I've been working the entire purchase right here over text message with this dealership. Now, I forced them to communicate with me that way. At one point in time, he did ask me to call him. I said, no, I can't. His last message to me was, you will need to go with Boulder Gray. The other two are already sold. Well, Boulder Gray it is. That fast and that easy line of communication will close this deal. I sent this exact same message to 3 other Nissan dealerships in my area. Now, here's a funny stat about where I live, okay? In the greater Toronto area, there are 29 Nissan dealerships in a 45-minute drive of each other. The franchises did something really stupid up there. They decided because the population was so incredibly dense that they're going to slam dealerships side by side with each other. I have 2 Chrysler dealerships in my town. I can actually walk from one to the other. They're literally 3 blocks away from each other. Communication. I am going to have to drive by 9 Nissan dealerships to get to this one dealership. He earned my business because of his willingness to provide me a buying process, not a sales process, and he's emailing me the bill of sale right now. All right, change is need for us to win in the communication game. We need a mindset reset on conversations, not leads. Now, I thought I was weird because I always have asked this question. And I remember running my own BDC in the early 2000s. It wasn't the amount of leads we generated. I wanted to know how many meaningful conversations did we actually have. Right now in our industry, there are more lead generating vendors than any other type of vendor in our industry. Communication is going to be the key. There needs to be a mindset reset. Website forms. God, if I could, I'd just blow up these damn things. All right? As a consumer, I need to give you, the dealer, first name, last name, email address, phone number, shoe size, blood type, and firstborn, just so I can earn the right to have a bloody conversation with you. That blows my mind. In no other industry or vertical do I have to go through so many hoops just to have a conversation with you. All right? We need to have an SMS first approach. Now, I'm going to use myself as an example. All right? Maybe some of you are the same. I don't answer my phone anymore. Unless it's my wife. I'm saying that because it's being recorded, by the way. But I let all of my calls go to voicemail. It gets transcribed. I get the notification. I get to read through the message, and I get to decide if it's worth me actually responding or calling back. Everybody knows that if they call me, they'll leave a message. I will respond within the day, okay? If you email me, it'll be within 24 hours of that email. Now, if you know me professionally or personally, you know I practically spend all of my time on LinkedIn. If you DM me on LinkedIn, you will get a response pretty darn quick, all right? But my inner circle of text message is not just for my friends and family. You can see right here, I am text messaging a business that I have never done business with before, all right? I have given them literally the golden keys to closing me and said, please text me. You need to have an SMS first approach to your communication efforts. Live chat failed us. I know it sucks, right? I was super excited about this. 15 years ago, that number is crazy. 15 years ago, I installed Website Alive script on my dealership's website. It was not automotive specific at the time. All right, there was not a BDC behind it to support it. All right, literally the phone would ring on my computer. Bring, bring. Everyone in the dealership fucking hated it. All right, but it was someone that was willing to connect with me. I thought live chat was it. I thought we had this 15 years ago, guys. It was a direct connection to my customer. They didn't need to fill out a form. They didn't have to call and go through reception and choose one for sales. No, they could click a button and have an immediate conversation with me. Then vendors, we screwed it up. We took something that had an amazing opportunity to connect us to consumers quickly and have meaningful conversations, and we turn it into a lead generation tool. That pisses me off. Now, I got to be honest with you, I'm afraid we're going to do the exact same damn thing with digital retailing. Now, there are some great digital retailing companies out there, but I'm telling you right now, I consult and work with a lot of dealerships. They're doing a lot of DR products, and I can't tell you how many lead reports I'm getting sent from a digital retailing product. And that just sucks. Digital retailing was supposed to be that access point to a buying process, not a sales process. And what are we doing? We're turning into a damn lead generation tool. I hope and I pray that this doesn't happen, but I am seeing it happen now. All right, now how are we going to next level our efforts? Well, here's a few stats. We're going to start off with a few stats. All right, did you know the average adult in North America has 500 unread emails for every one unread text message? All right, everyone pull out their phones real quick. You're going to be completely honest with me, please. You know at the very bottom there, it tells me how many unread emails you have. Okay, 105. Can I hear some numbers? Oh, jeez. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, in this case, almost 100,000, all right, unread emails. This is insane. You have 5,000. 5,000. All right, I'm going to use that number real quick. How many unread text messages do you have, sir? Unread text messages. 0. Email has about an 8% engagement rate. By the way, I'm being I'm being a little, I'm blowing this maybe a little bit out of proportion as far as the 8%. You're probably closer to 3 to 5%. But I took the dealer that I work with who's performing the best, and I gave them the benefit of the doubt, and I used this stat. All right? Now, I didn't say open rate. I said engagement rate. All right? Phone calls have about a 15% chance of being answered. We just talked about this. I don't answer my phone. All right? It will go to voicemail. It will get dictated back to me, and I will decide if I'm going to do it. You get that lead. You pick up the phone, you dial. You have about a 15% chance of that person's actually going to answer the phone. SMS has over a 60% reply rate. Reply rate, not open. Open is stupid. It's 98%. Well, slightly because the obvious reason you actually have to open the damn thing to delete it. But a 60% reply rate. I can do it at any given time. You guys have been text messaging during this entire conference. I know, I've been watching you. All right. Over 90% of dealer customer communication is either phone or email. 90%. The customers are telling you. They're telling us how we want to be communicated, and we're just choosing to ignore it. If you are not texting your customers, you are losing at the communication game. Just bottom line. All right. Now, if you are text messaging, great. Okay? Actually, real quick, how many people are text messaging their customers right now? Good. We got some hands in the air. Okay. Now, how are we going to next level our communication efforts? We're going to do that with AI. Now, here's something, guys. I want to say, can we all say this together real fast so we understand? AI is not a widget. AI is not a widget. Thank you. All right? AI is not a widget, guys. It is not something that you slap on your website, all right, and you hit the easy button, take your diet pill, and it's going to solve all your problems. It is not, all right? I'll tell you what real AI is. Real AI creates a workforce that partners with your staff. Partners with your staff. Does not lead your staff. All right, we have many clients right now that will come to me and go, hey, Jay, I want my BDC to work the lead for 3 days, and if they can't get it done, I want your system to jump in and start handling it. All right, that's cool. Or I get the polar opposite of it. Hey, Jay, my sales team sucks with these Facebook lead ads. Oh, okay, fair enough. I want your system to work it, keep working them, and then tap the salesperson on the shoulder when there's something they can chew on. Sure, we can do that too. This is what a workforce does. All right? Think of these as brand new bodies for your dealership that never sleep, don't call in sick, all right, and are there to prospect for you, qualify for you, nurture the customer, and re-engage or engage with the customer. 4 brand new bodies that you did not have before then. Now look, I was a good salesperson. I was. There was no way that I was 100% good at prospecting. I was never 100% at follow-up. Now I'm admitting that to you now, but then I probably would have said, absolutely not. I follow up with everybody, boss. All right? There's no leads that get through the cracks with me. I take care of every single one. Guys, it's not the truth. It really isn't, okay? You need to find an AI partner that will work with you to create a workforce that's customized for your dealership and your needs. All right. A good AI gives your trained, seasoned staff more time to generate an experience and close deals. When I explain this to salespeople, they're like, well, I don't understand this AI. This robot's going to take over my life, and I'm going to lose my job. Absolutely not. All right. It's going to be your assistant. It's going to work side by side with you. It's going to give you time back so that you can focus, measure, create, and develop that customer experience or that product pod, whatever works for your dealership. Currently, AI supports less than 5% of dealership efforts. 5%. AI dealer support will exponentially grow over the next 5 years. If you are going to be a leader in this industry, or are you going to be a follower?
Do you like the content? Well, if you want more, then you need to sign up for Bradley On Demand, the world's best virtual training platform in the entire automotive industry. With some of the top speakers, salespeople, and trainers, and almost 7,000 training modules. You will sell more cars more often and more profitably. So sign up now at www.bradleyondemand.com.